Well, hello, and welcome to the TheMilVet Podcast. Your podcast hosts are Brendan Aronson, Tim Shaw, and Beau Higgins. We are military veterans, entrepreneurs, and investors. But most importantly, we strive to empower military service members, veterans, and their families. We believe that all veterans deserve a career that fires them up, a career in which you can learn, you can earn, and you can build a world-class network. On this podcast, we interview civilian and military veteran leaders who are incredible founders, writers, thinkers, and investors. My primary goal is to inspire you to achieve great things. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the TheMilVet Podcast. I'm your host, Beau Higgins, and I have the pleasure today to be joined by the Alaska Adventure Project team. Looking forward to sharing their different stories, how they are now giving back and helping out fellow veterans, and every journey's a little bit different. So excited to dig into that. For those that may not be familiar with the TheMilVet provides an executive platform for veterans looking to get into the private equity venture capital space. If you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to check out our website at www.milvet.org. Sign up for our newsletter, check out our podcast, check out new job openings. We'd love to work with you if you're interested in that space. But for today, let's focus on the Alaska team. And I'm going to turn over to each one of you to kind of give an intro of what you're doing now, and then we'll go from there. So over to y'all.
Excellent. Well, I guess I'll start. My name is Billy Boulton. I'm the president and co-founder of Alaska Adventure Project. We started this project back in 2016. I exited military service early 2015, and then I came back to Alaska. So I'm from Ketchikan, Alaska. So I had the ability to come home, and I came out here and did some commercial fishing for the summer. And then, and that's when I returned to California, came back to my family, and then I was introduced to Will and Darrin, and was able to kind of share my experience of returning home to Alaska and what the healing effects of just being out in nature did for me. And then, I'll kind of go a little bit more into my journey in a little bit, but I'll let these guys introduce themselves.
Yeah, Darrin Isham, born and raised in San Diego, spent 25 years in the Navy, all in the SEAL teams, retired 12 years ago. So the career seems like a little shadow as of late. But apologize for the noise. We're at a historic hotel here in Ketchikan, so we may have some loud moments. But yeah, I currently serve as a test engineer with the military. So I'm a contractor, and we're doing technology development. And then, met these two hardened patriots through some other nonprofit work. Talk about that in a little bit too.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, Will Piquel here. I am known, formally as Civ Div 1. I am the only civilian in this crew of military veterans, but I'm honored just to be a part of it. It's amazing that, they've welcomed me with such grace. I'm one of the co-founders as well. The three of us have been on this thing from day one, the Alaska Adventure Project for Wounded Veterans. And just like I said, honored to be here as a civilian. And, like I said, we'll get into all the details, but yeah, Will Piquel, I'm kind of the fundraising guy too. I delve with that stuff and just grateful to be a part of.
Awesome. Well, again, it's great having you all on the show today. I'm excited to dig in more, certainly about what you're doing now and what the project's all about. But would love for our audience to dig into to how you got there and talk about your journey and your own personal transitions, whether that be from the civilian side or the military side, to get where you are now. Because everyone out there is on a journey, whether they're direct transitioning from the military now or been out for a while and trying to figure out what they want to do next when they grow up, So I know we got a SEAL, we got a Marine, we got a civilian, and I'm sure every one of your transitions and your stories was different. So we'd love to hear maybe a little bit from the military guys. Why did you decide to sign up in the first place? And then talk a little bit about your military time and then your transition itself. And then for Will, just kind of talk about, how did you kind of connect with the military community in the first place, and your transition as well. So back to y'all to kind of tell your stories.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll kick this off. So my call to service came back in, I think, 2005. That's when, for me, I went to my grandfather's funeral. I was 26 when I joined, so I joined a little bit late. I was out there, running and gunning on my own, OFP as we say in the military. But then I went to my grandfather's funeral. This is a man I never really spoke to. I didn't know much about his history. And then when I was at his funeral, I found out that he was actually a highly decorated captain in the Army during World War II. Was taken prisoner by the Nazis, formulated an escape for him and 21 of his men. And this story is just pretty remarkable. And it was at that moment that I just kind of, and I got chills just now, just thinking about it. But I was highly aware that the blood that runs through my veins was not serving its true purpose. So I immediately returned back from that and went straight to the recruiter and was like, hey, I want to join the Marine Corps. And I think it was like, my dad was in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Army, so I figured I needed to forge my own path through the Marine Corps. So that's why I joined in that branch of service. Funny enough, I always wanted to be a Navy SEAL growing up, but the Marine Corps was where I landed. So I'm lucky to work with this guy over here. He gets to tell me all the stories.
Right.
But yeah, so I joined, and then I didn't really have much knowledge on the different jobs that were available to me as a Marine infantryman. And so when I was in training, I got through recruit training, and then I went to my special school, which was just like infantry training battalion. But then you split into like 3 or 4 different avenues in that battalion. And I remember driving down the longest road that runs through Camp Pendleton, which is Basilone Road. And I remember thinking to myself, like, why is this road named after this Marine? So I was fortunate enough to learn about who John Basilone was, Medal of Honor recipient, extraordinary Marine, definitely liked to cut loose. And then, he liked to do his job really well. And he was a machine gunner. So that choice for me was pretty simple. So I went to machine gun training school and learned about all kinds of different weapons. And then ultimately that's the path I took in the Marine Corps. And I was, fortunate enough to serve with so many like amazing men and women. During my time in service, I got to go to Iraq. I went to the Horn of Africa. I went to Afghanistan. And then after 3 deployments, I ended up at Wounded Warrior Battalion. I sustained a few injuries while I was in Afghanistan, definitely some head trauma. And, I was just kind of, they told me that, with the trauma that I had sustained, that I wasn't able to be a machine gunner anymore, and that I was, I was going to have to, navigate my way through the Marine Corps without doing that job, or I was going to have to get out. So ultimately, I chose to retire. So I was medically retired from the Marine Corps, and with that came the next sort of phase of my life, right? So I went to the Navy hospital. I got, all my medications, and I think this story is common with a lot of service members who exit out, right? The Navy medicine, or the VA, has sort of like a similar recipe for everybody who's getting out, right? You've got PTS, you've got TBI, you've got all this stuff. Well, here's 6 or 7 medications that we want you to try and take and see what works. And 90% of the time, 99% of the time, most of them don't work at all. and you find yourself in sort of a tailspin. You've never felt this way before. You know, you were running and gunning just a month ago, and now you're, you know, kind of feeling numb. You don't have, can't sleep. You know, your eating patterns are all off. And so that's kind of where I found myself. When I retired, I was dealing with that myriad of problems. So I was fortunate enough to come out here to Alaska and start fishing. So I spent about 4 months out at sea on a boat, coming back into port periodically, but I was outside, I was in nature, and I felt like I could breathe again. And I didn't take any of my medications with me. So I kind of went cold turkey off of all those. And then ultimately what I found when I was just in nature and here in Alaska, breathing in this beautiful air and just kind of, and I had purpose. I was fishing. I was doing what I loved to do growing up. And so I came back from that journey, and I was full of excitement. And that's like, as fate would have it, that's when I sort of ran into these two guys, and I was able to, articulate like where I was at and where I was at when I met them, like the shift in my mood and my attitude and my, just need for life. Right. And at this time, 2015, this was when an epidemic was, and it's still, prevalent within our service and our veteran community. But I lost more of my platoon mates to suicide than I did in combat. And, we took hundreds of casualties in Afghanistan. 17 of my platoon mates or my Marines in my battalion passed. So to lose more than that through suicide post that period of war was just something that, I don't know, I couldn't wrap my head around it. And then, there was people doing push-ups on Facebook, creating awareness and all that stuff. And for like, that just made me angry because it really wasn't doing anything. It seemed like it was more self-serving than it was for the greater good. So when I spoke to these guys about that, I think the evolution or the creation of Alaska Adventure Project had started to percolate, right? And it was like, all right, let's do something about this. So we did an exploratory trip in early summer of 2016. We came out, and ultimately the city of Ketchikan, Alaska, which is where we operate out of, they welcomed us with open arms. It was a resounding yes, this is possible. We can do this. I think the town was ready for an organization like ours or a program to support veterans in a way that, people here in Alaska understand, right? Let's go fishing, let's go hiking, let's go hunting, let's do like zip line tour, like all these amazing things that you can do here within 1 week. The town was ready to support, and that's what they do 100%. So that's kind of my journey into this. If I think of anything else, I'll bring it up, but I'll let these guys
jam right in.
Yeah, really. My journey started on my last deployment in Afghanistan back in 2010. We had an officer eat an IED, wound up losing both legs. And out of that incident, the officer that took over for that platoon created a nonprofit. And back in 2010, the landscape of nonprofit, there's a lot of deficit. Guys getting wounded, and women as well. And I think that's when you started seeing the nonprofit world kind of blossom and come into being, and all these nonprofits were starting to get created. So we fell into that. When I found out my buddy was starting Phoenix Patriot Foundation, I hopped right on that. I wanted to be part of it. And that kind of got me into the nonprofit world. So I've been, since 2010, involved in veteran nonprofits. So I've worked with Gary Sinise pretty closely, his foundation, Tunnel Towers, a lot of other, different horse therapy organizations, you name it. We've done a lot of different things. And through that journey, when Bill and I met, he knew I had a little bit of background in nonprofit and on the administration side as well, and just executing programs. And, how do you really help someone there's a lot to that. So that's kind of the hat I wear for AAPs, the program director. I kind of look at, kind of as the senior veteran, how we're helping people and making sure that like QC piece is there. So, um, yeah, once we met, we went up here in 2016, like Billy mentioned, exploratory trip, and we looked at the environment, and it was, I'm like, Billy, you have something here. This is special. Bringing people up here, the last frontier. There's a lot we can do. It just lends itself to a great environment for decompression. Let people let their hair down and be who they are without judgment. That's kind of we'll get into that, but that's kind of my quick journey into the AP. So.
Did you go right from the military into the nonprofit space, or did you have a civilian job, sort of, kind of, as you were figuring that out?
Still active duty, actually. So I retired 2014. So when I entered the nonprofit sector, I was still active duty, supporting, and actually wore my uniform on quite a few different events. We teamed up with NASCAR on a couple events. We took some wounded veterans up there. And had a blast, and it was just an amazing experience. But I was still in uniform at the time. And then when I retired, obviously there was no gap. I just kept working with it. But I would say, consistently since 2010, being involved in some type of nonprofit, helping people.
That's great. It's unique, I think, to have a military that has its purpose and a transition into something where you also had a sense of purpose. Because I think a lot of people, and I think Billy talked a little about that, you lose that a little bit when you get out of the military and you don't have you don't have your people, and you don't have that structure to go right from one to the other. Pretty neat and pretty awesome. So yeah, good job.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, Will Pickell here. Like, as a civilian of the group, I'm going to reflect back on what Billy said earlier about, what a Marine and a Navy SEAL have in common is that they both want to be Navy SEALs. I'm learning a lot, in the 10 years I've been working here with the Alaska Adventure Project. I've gotten to learn a lot about the military behavior and how it works, more so, since I didn't serve. And fast forward 10 years, what I've learned is my opportunity to serve is now. And it's not just me, it's everybody out there. We all have the opportunity to support our veteran community. So to reflect back a little bit, my wife's a Gold Star daughter. Her father was a chief warrant officer in the Army and a medevac dust-off pilot. So he's been an inspiration to me all along. Looking for and striving. I coached high school and college softball for 15 years. And then there's a small overlap where I was working with the Alaska Adventure Project and coaching. At a certain point, I felt that the AAP was the path that I needed to devote all my philanthropy to. So, we call Billy the dreamer and I'm the doer. And so I raised a lot of money. Then we got Darrin over here. He's the executor, right? In more ways than one. But yeah, so, over the years, Billy, come to me and Darrin, as well as a couple other guys, Doug Poldrugo, part of TheMilVet, and just indicated, hey guys, I got this dream. What do you think? Well, we thought he was crazy. And so he invited us up for that exploratory trip. And the hook was set. I mean, no pun intended, actually full pun intended. The hook was set and we were catching fish and like we say, we were starting right then and there to change war stories right into fishing stories. And that's what we do here at Alaska Adventure Project. So my main job here is a little bit of everything. I don't have a title. They always say, what do you want to put on your card? I'm like, I don't want anything on my card because, it's just the three of us. We motivate this thing. We go as fast as we want or as slow as we want, but it's never been slow. Our growth has been fast. It's been accelerated. We've been grateful for the support, not just locally here in Ketchikan, but also in Southern California. We do a lot of fundraising and even nationwide. We have folks, joining in and donating to us and supporting us. Just, that's not financially, that's the support we get. Just morale in general is so amazing. But yeah, over the last, 10 years, we've grown this thing to what it is today. Actually, we're here in Ketchikan, Alaska at Annabella's Restaurant, one of the most historic restaurants here in Ketchikan. Just doing some exploratory, getting ready for our trip in September. And honestly, like I said, I'm grateful to be a part of this and that they accept me into the military community. Like I said, my call sign is CivDiv1. I wear that proudly. You might sound like a joke, you might laugh at me, but it's a pretty much a massive honor for a person that didn't serve to be able to give my service now, and that it is effective as well. That we're saving lives and bringing awareness to PTSD, traumatic brain injury, as well as veteran suicide.
No, I love it, and I love the passion that all y'all obviously have for the mission. And I'd like to dig in on a couple things. One being, you started the concept of building this. How has it changed over time from what it initially the idea was to what it's become? Because having talked to a lot of nonprofits, a lot of times they have a little bit of an idea, but it can go a lot of different directions or add different pieces and parts based on the needs of the community. So I'm curious if what you kind of thought it would be when you started, maybe what it's become. But I'd also like to dig in a little bit to people. I don't know if people understand how hard it is to run a nonprofit. I mean, it sounds like it's fun and it's giving back, but it's a business. I mean, it's a business that has different tax rules, but you're running a business. Don't kid yourself. You gotta have a bottom line. You gotta take care of the people. You gotta do those things. And how did you bring those skills to the table? Because they aren't necessarily things that you did exactly in the military. There are things that are relatable, certainly, to your military experience, but running a business is different. So I love, it doesn't matter to me who takes those questions, but I want to cover both of those of, how did your military skill, what did you maybe need to learn to be more successful in the nonprofit space for folks that might want to get into that space? And how did your nonprofit maybe start and morph over time to what it is now?
Yeah, well, I'll kick this off with where like AAP started, what we what it was when I first dreamt it up, right? Like I said, the suicide rate was on the forefront of my mind. This epidemic was not only tragic, but it was like hitting really close to home. I think it was on our exploratory trip. I had a close friend of mine pass away while we were out here trying to do this. And so it was urgent, right? The sense of urgency was there. And really, I just, I dreamt it up and I was like, I just wanted to get my guys back together again so we could like talk about this. So we created the first trip. I think there was 3 veterans that we supported, 2 of which served in 1st Battalion, 5th Marines with me. Another one was with 1st Battalion or 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. So they're all part of the 5th Marine Regiment, all part of the Blue Diamond, if anyone's familiar with that. And so that was my attempt to just bring the fold back in together, get these guys around, see how they were doing, and make sure that people that were extremely close to me weren't going to fall into this epidemic. So it was urgency and necessity and love, right? Those 3 things came together and we built this. And we had a good program. We went fishing. I think we did the zip line too. We did all kinds of different things around here, but I will say the first trip was a little more like just kind of thrown together, and we had a great time. Mission success, right? Since then, bringing Darrin and bringing Will in, and that's one thing I learned in the military, right? Is if you try and do everything, right, you're gonna mess something up because you can't wear all the hats. And I think in the beginning I was trying to do that. I was trying to do this, and that. But bringing these guys in has aligned me with what my purpose is and what my job is. And these guys bring into the fold, like, hey, the mission planning, the execution, like all the things. So AAP has gone from sort of grassroots to this like professionally run, well thought out, well planned program that's designed not just sort of as like a blanket trip for, each trip is tailored to the group that we bring out. And that's really the strength, that surrounding yourself with people that know how to stay in their lane and do their job, and then bring it all to, like an apex when it's time to execute. That's where it's sort of evolved into. And I'll let you guys talk.
Yeah, I think my focus, I retired as a Master Chief, so spent, the last 10 plus years in the senior enlisted ranks, in a naval special warfare. So organizational management, you're immersed in that. So you learn how to help run an organization, especially a high functioning organization. So couple that with my time learning nonprofit administration. You don't know that unless you're immersed in it and you actually spend time in the trenches with it. There's a lot that goes on to execute a program, and that's we're focused on executing a program. It's not just good old boy club where we go up here and we just hang out. There's a reason to everything we're doing and how that's sequenced and the frequency of what we do with the amount of people. So, we found keeping the groups small, 3 to 5 veterans, more of an intimate setting. People open up more. We found there's a higher success rate. We're trying to help people get them on the right path instead of doing too large of events. We have another program, alumni program we'll talk about. But that's kind of just been my focus and what I feel like I bring to the table. But like you mentioned, Bo, you have to run it's a business entity. You have to run it as a business. And, Will, he's our business guy. And we brought him in and, he's very successful at what he does for a living. And that's really, fostered a lot of AP success. So.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's reflecting back on the exploratory trip in 2016. You're thinking about this like, oh my gosh, this is something we can do. We can get it done, and we're starting to do it, and it's working, and it's growing, and it's metastasizing in a really positive way. But we didn't forget. But where the lingering thing is, the paperwork, the corporation, the liability insurance, all these things. And I'm a chronic entrepreneur. I love to create new businesses and try to monetize something. I'm not trying to monetize this for the commercial sense or the cliche sense, but one of my passions is to generate money, and I've got a knack for it, if you will. And not only that, we're well supported. Every one of us bring a lot to the table, and our supporters are we're grateful for them as well. I mean, we have so many people out. We have Blue Sky Restoration, we have AC Pro, we have a lot of these fundamental foundations that have just supported us throughout our journey from the beginning. So what I bring in this is a little bit of entrepreneurship. I bring in some marketing, also just bringing connections that we have and be able to bring the whole trifecta of what we have here together. And that's been my passion with this. Like I said, I retired from coaching softball because I was doing all the fundraising for these girls softball teams at the high school and college levels. They don't have the monies that they need, and that was fun. But then the return on investment of my time, this far outweighs anything I've ever done. And I've just, like I said, to be able to touch the lives of the military community, active, retired, even the future, like the kids coming up, man. Just grateful to be a part of it, and hopefully I can facilitate, when they get out or if they're out or if they've been out, a path to healing, a path to camaraderie, and a path to Alaska, Ketchikan, Alaska, right here. Which probably, maybe Darrin can kind of talk about, when we're done here in Alaska, we don't just drop you off the curb and say, hey, thanks, get on your airport. We want to talk about, what we do afterwards. And now just recently, with our recent success, we've been able to generate, and Darrin and Billy and we've all been a part of it. Darrin's kind of heading up some stuff with the alumni program. So our alumni program is just basically bringing our veterans back in the fold, bringing supporters along with us, bringing veterans that are in our community, like Brad Landon is our attorney, who also is Army veteran, super respected in that realm. So I'll let Darrin talk a little bit about the alumni program.
Yeah. So after doing this, almost 10 years now, so we found that, what do we do with people after they spend a week with us in Ketchikan? Trip a lifetime. They'll never forget it. But then they go off to the far corners of the nation. How are they doing? How do we check in with people? So we kind of worked through the mechanics of that. And it got to a point where it's like, well, why don't we make this a program? We'll term it the alumni program, where, one thing that we believe in AAP is engagement. So when you go through our initial week program, you leave with two things, whether you want it or not: a new network of resources and a family for life. Yeah. And that family component, along with the resources, is what the alumni program is designed around, and keep people engaged. So we just got back from Yukon, Canada, doing some dog sledding. We've done fishing trips. Billy's spearheading biking events. We got another one coming up. Yeah, so we're looking at all these different kind of keeping the outdoor adventure theme, because it is a great venue to bring people together. We can kind of bring some of those military experiences back in the fold, which a lot of people, they deal with isolation. There's a lot of veterans that we serve. They're isolated. Guys like me that work with military are surrounded by veterans, active duty, and retirees. So I get my fill. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. So we look at like who's needs another dose of love, if you will, and then bring back in the fold. But the idea is to keep everyone engaged and let those people give back and refer people, and this network and family just keeps growing. So that's kind of the intent with the alumni program. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
that's
amazing.
awesome. And I love to see how it
the
has
trip that
moved
we
over.
take. It's an amazing trip that we take, right? And we get to see the benefits immediately on these guys' faces. Checking back in with people has proven to be probably one of the most rewarding things that we do here at AAP. Seeing these guys come back into the fold, you can sort of see them like take that deep, hard breath and like, oh my God, you guys didn't forget about me. Like I think that's what's unique about us. I can't speak on everybody else's program, but I've been a part of a lot of different programs, Semper Fi Fund, a couple other different organizations that I've been fortunate enough before I even got out of the military that supported me. But the one thing that didn't really happen there was the reconnection. So we're proud that's a new part of our program. It's something that AAP will continue to do and grow and get better at. So we've got a lot of new things coming up, coming on the docket, and I'm excited to share these with our alumni.
Yeah, we try to target people that have been through different years. So we have alumni meeting people that have been through the program that haven't met before. So we're kind of kindling new relationships. That's something that we're really focused on with the alumni program that I think is serving itself pretty well. So it's really neat to watch those interactions with those people that share the Ketchikan experience. That's a commonality they have. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we live and operate out of two of the most amazing places on earth, right? We live in we fundraise out of Temecula, California, which is beautiful wine country. It's close to the beaches, close to all this stuff. So we have a golf tournament coming up July 24th. And last year we kind of spearheaded the alumni program, started it with that golf tournament. So we brought guys from 2017, 2018, 2019. So we had 3 different years of alumni that hadn't met each other that were able to come together at that golf tournament, kind of see where we had progressed to, and re-inspired them to give back, get back in the fold with us, see how they could support us. And I mean, this is a snowball going down the hill, man, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. I'm super excited. When I first started this, like I said, it was out of urgency and love and necessity. And now to see where it's come that's given me, it's helped me. I'm recipient number 1.
You're the reason why we're
for
here.
all of this.
You're absolutely the reason why we're here.
And it keeps giving back to me 100%. And I hope it does for these guys too.
100%.
Yeah, I get a lot out of it for sure.
No, I love to see how the program has morphed over time and to bring the alumni piece in. I love that each of you have your own kind of defined roles you've figured out over time too, which is great. You kind of have like the dreamer, the planner, the executor, the fundraiser, and it's great to know kind of where you all fit. Although I'm sure everybody does windows in a small organization, so I get that too. For folks, the challenge, I would say, maybe not the challenge is the right word. There's a lot of nonprofits out there, a lot of veteran nonprofits out there. How do you engage or try to distinguish yourself from the others? What sets you apart? How do veterans find you typically? For folks that listen to the podcast, that whether they need help or they want to share information with their buddies, how do you get the word out about AAP and what you're doing, and how can where can people go to learn more?
Excellent. Yeah. So our website is www.alaskaadventureproject.org. They can go on the website. They can fill out our application. My phone number, my email address. I think these guys' email addresses and phone numbers are on there as well. So that's one way to reach out to us. Our business model for bringing new veterans into the fold is and always has been the pay it forward method, right? So we bring guys into the fold, they come on the trip, and then we take suggestions from them on who they might want to nominate to come in, someone that they served with, someone that they know that's in their community or that they served with that could really use this type of trip. And so that's been pretty beneficial. Being that we're kind of a smaller organization, opening the application process up to the public. I think we tried that in the past, and it's you get a flood. Obviously, it's an amazing trip and it's an amazing experience, and we would love to wrap our arms around every veteran that sends us an application. It's just not possible, right? And then it starts to hurt what we're trying to do. So it's just a little easier for us and a little bit more effective if the people that come nominate someone, and then we can bring those people into the fold like that. And it just helps our alumni community grow. And that's
that referral based kind of concept, I think, served everyone really well. And then we also take a look, we serve all the different branches. So some years we may have all Marines go through. Most of the years we have people from different walks of life and military experiences. And we've looked hard at that. And to be honest with you, I think we have a lot of success having a mixed batch of people come up, both male and female.
Canines.
Yeah.
Canines too.
So we definitely, service dogs come up, and it's been interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that group dynamic is helped people more in the sense that, people are intrigued by other backgrounds and they open up to people. I think there's a lot of goodness if you bring people from the same unit as well. And we are looking at that, but kind of that mixed demographic amongst the military backgrounds, I think is done really well. And again, we keep it intimate, small groups, so people open up. And then frankly, the activities that we do, we just can't have a lot of people. You can only have so many people on a small boat, so many people zip lining, off-roading, all the different things we're doing with them up here. We do a lot of float plane tours. So, there's only so many people you can put in those. But it just lends itself to an amazing experience. And it's just time on the ground together. We bring them to just a beautiful area up here, and it's just time spent together. That's it.
Yeah. The like bringing in different people from different branches is proven to be probably the most rewarding part of it, right? You get to, as soon as these guys get in the same space, guys and gals, the camaraderie happens. I would say, I don't know, like people start ribbing on each other. They start talking, they start joking with each other. Obviously there's a little, between the Navy, Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, right? There's that. We're all going to mess with each other, so to speak. And it happens immediately. It's organic. It's kind of like, and it's neat for them to see like what they did in their branch of service, same thing, same stuff that we did in ours, right? We're not different. We all went down a different path and served in different places and did, different things. But at the end of the day, we're all kind of like part of the same cohesive unit, and we get to experience that up in Alaska, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, and the guard comes down real quick. These folks come here and they get off the plane and they go into the baggage terminal and they're like, "Oh, how you doing?" But by the end of the trip, by the time we get across the ferry into the mainland, the guards come down. They're talking and basically able to chat. And then, one of the key things we do here at the Alaska Adventure Project is in the evening time, we like to do a bonfire on the beach. There's massive logs. And so we're all working together to get this driftwood up and make this big bonfire. We have pictures of Billy with gasoline. And
I love making fires.
He is a pyro and he loves fires.
We have to supervise this.
Yeah. But these fires, they go 5, 6, 10 feet tall. And we sit around and we talk, we laugh, we cry. We pick on each other. We talk a little lip. And then at the end of the night, we go to bed, but we wake up the next morning and this fire has been put out, washed out to sea. It's a brand new, fresh day. So that's kind of the way we reflect on what we do is, it's a new, fresh day. Let's get a new, fresh start. Yesterday was over. Let's just focus on what we're working on ahead here. And, by bringing them up here and, like I said, just different people, different branches that don't know each other, you get 5 or 6 nights of that. By the end of that, your family. That's what we talked about. You go home with the family. You share a lot. Like I said, we cry, we laugh, we wrestle, whatever. We throw stuff at each other. You just have a good time. And in the meantime, like I said, we're going back to that cliche of we're changing war stories into fishing stories.
Yeah, and so every year we create a group text thread, and we have them for every year. And some people just need to reach out and hear from people that they went up there with, So it's pretty amazing to see these group texts that are continuing years later, and that you won't hear from anyone for a little while. Then something happened, you'll talk for a while, But that's that kind of follow-on component that really is kind of self-created.
Yeah,
and the way it's turned out.
Yeah,
so, it's interesting.
Oh,
Love it, man. I'm fired up to get myself. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Sign me up. I want to go up there. I want to zip on. I want to fish. I want to be by the bonfire. Marines and fires and snakes. That's what happens. We can't help ourselves. It's a thing. So yeah, that's awesome. Hey, thank you guys for sharing your stories, sharing about AAP. I love the grassroots kind of basis of it and how it organically expands from folks that have been there, done that, and they're telling a friend, to see its growth, to see how it's morphing into the alumni. And I can't wait to see where this is a few years from now, and I'm sure we'll continue to grow. Y'all are obviously passionate about it, and it's been a pleasure having you on the program today. I really appreciate it, and I wish you guys the best of luck moving forward. And again, truly hope I can get out there one day, man. It'll be awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. Open invitation, brother.
Thanks, Beau.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, gents.
Welcome home.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. For more content, follow us on Instagram @TheMilitaryVet or on LinkedIn. Join us at an upcoming event or learn more on our website, TheMilVet.org. Feel free to email us directly at leadership@TheMilVet.org. Thank you so much and take care.